All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect to the nation of Israel. I was just thinking about the sin of adultery, right? And the understanding of what adultery really is, which is when a man sleeps with another man's wife, right? It's not when a man sleeps with another woman that is not betrothed or is not another man's wife or another man's girlfriend or another man's anything, right? It's when a man sleeps with another man's wife, right? And I was thinking about how if that law and the judgment of that law was enforced on this world, that would force for women in particular, man, to not be wicked. Now, I'm not saying that women are the only ones that commit adultery, but part of adultery not being enforced on this earth has led to a lot of wickedness that women do on this earth, man, right? And a lot of wickedness that men do as well, but it's also led to a lot of wickedness that women do. This is Sirach chapter 25 and verse 2. 3 sorts of men my soul hateth, and I am greatly offended at their life. A poor man that is proud, a rich man that is a liar. Now that happens on this earth, right? Both of those two. And an old adulterer that doteth, and that's another thing that happens, man. There's people that have became adulterers since their youth, and now they're old and they're still doing it, man. They're still doing it, right? And a lot of those old adulterers that dote, whenever people think of this scripture, a lot of the time, they're normally thinking about men in their mind. But a lot of these adulterers that doteth are women, man. A lot of the main people that have committed adultery in this world are women. And people don't want to accept that. But it's true. Because if a woman sleeps with any person outside of the first man that she slept with in her life, every single time she does that, that is adultery. So if a woman slept with 10 different men in her lifetime, right, that is 10 times she's committed adultery. If the first man that she lost their virginity to is not dead. If a man sleeps with 10 different women, right, and all of those 10 women were not another man's wife and were virgins before he slept with her, right, and were not betrothed unto another man, he's committed adultery 0 times, right? But this world don't want to acknowledge that, man, because this world is based on pure wickedness, man. Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 10. And the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. And that's what's supposed to happen, man, because men and women have committed a sin when that takes place, right? Whereas this wicked world this world that we're living in right now, right? This world tries to make out like a man's an adulterer for him sleeping with any other woman, right? That's what this world tries to make out like a man's an adulterer for. And that's why this world's so confused. This world's confused and all over the place, and you'll have women that have did nothing but commit adultery their whole life, and that the relationship that you ended up with her in was based on adultery by any stretch of the imagination that you want to take it, man. A lot of women, sometimes when they get with the guy that they're with now, they might have lied and said that they wasn't seeing nobody, but it was, and now they end up in a relationship with that guy. Or the man that they're with is not the man that took their virginity, so that's still adultery, right? But women won't want to talk about that kind of adultery that they've committed all their life. But then this whole world tries to make out like a man's a demon if he has slept with another woman, man, when that's his natural way to be. Now, in this world, that's even a snare unto men if they're like that, right? Because this world has been made to ensnare anybody that spirit is inclined to Yahweh's laws, right? So if you're against LG3PT, right, and all that alphabeting stuff, well, your spirit is going to be inflicted here, man. If you're against not wanting to eat pork, your spirit's going to be bothered. If you're against not wanting to celebrate birthdays, if you're against not wanting to celebrate Christmas, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, any of these fake days that they always pull out of nowhere to try and make people believe in themselves, you're going to be bothered down here, man. And one of the main things that's bothering and disturbing down here is that you've got a whole bunch of women that have did nothing but commit adultery their whole life. And then they have the nerve to try and use men as a scapegoat for that particular sin, when if that sin was inflicted on this earth, they would be the main ones that would be getting judged for that, man. They'd be some of the main ones. And also, because that law is not inflicted on this earth, a lot of the things that women get away with in this world are not judged properly, man. Part of the reason that women have got so much arrogance in this world is because a lot of you adulterous ass niggas out there are quick to sleep with another man's wife. But if every single time a woman tried to give a guy a whiff of a stinky ass hole, right? And that man was like, nah, get the fuck away from me, man. I ain't no adulterer. Go back to your man. That woman would get cut to the heart for that, right? But that's not what happens in this world. So men are to blame as well. That's not what happens in this world, man. So then women just float around this world, going from one man to another, thinking that they're so fine and that they're so hot, but really, the men only want to use them for one time, or for recreational usage. They don't really want the woman, right? And then the man that might have actually wanted the woman, he ends up realizing that that woman's a demon, and ends up being disgusted by her now. And then she goes and commits adultery again by getting into a next relationship, and then she commits adultery in that relationship as well. And then she thinks that she's some kind of special prize because she's always able to go from one man to another, because men just want to sleep with her. And the men don't care about no adultery. But in every single one of them times where the man's technically, he's thinking he's not necessarily committing adultery because she so-called left that relationship and got with this new geezer, really, she's made both of them commit adultery, man. And that's what people don't understand about the laws of the Bible, man. They don't understand how wicked of a sin that was, man, that it's in the 10 Commandments. It's Exodus chapter 20 and verse 14, thou shalt not commit adultery, right? Then you go to verse 17, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. So you ain't supposed to be the kind of person that does that, because doing that leads to a world where women then start getting gassed up and they end up leaving from one situation to another. And then you get a whole society where women are whores. Women are always, no matter what the scenario, in a so-called black woman's mind especially, every single scenario calls for twerking. If it's a funeral, there's some twerking that's necessary. If it's a birthday party for little kids and they've got damn Toy Story mascots at the party, some twerking is necessary even there. If it's a christening, there's some twerking needed. You know, if you're at work making burgers and fries, there's some twerking needed there. If you're in your car in traffic and you just happen to hear some nice and music that's your jam, now the woman's got to get out of the car and twerk there, man. If she's in Aldi, if she's in Quick Save, if she's in Netto, if she's in Lidl, if she's in Waitrose, and a song comes on, she got to shake her funky batty there too, man. If she's getting arrested by a police officer and she don't want to get arrested, she's got to shake her funky ass there. If she's getting arrested for drink driving, she's got to shake her ass. If she's getting arrested for shoplifting, she's got to twerk there too, man. You end up getting a society like that because the women think that their body is just a get out of jail free card, or get out of any scenario card in any situation that takes place, man, and it's not. But in this world, it almost has become like that's the case. Almost, right? Women are almost able to use their body to try and get out of every single situation, man. Almost. And that's why they try it so often, man. That's why they try it, man. That's why they always are prepared to try and use that to try and escape out of any situation, man. If they're getting arrested, they'll try and use it to get out of being arrested. You know? They're always prepared to do that. If they're in a relationship with one guy and their claim is that it's not going how they want it to go or whatever, they'll use it on the divorce lawyer. to get him to get her a better portion of the split, man. All kind of crazy stuff happened in this world. I just saw and I posted on this channel a video, like a post of how a woman, she called her landlord over to the house, right, to fix the air conditioning, and then he left his phone in the house, and she was behind on a rent like $2,000, and he left his phone in the house, and she went into his phone and started messaging herself and using his phone to message her, and her phone she was messaging as herself to try and make it like he was trying to bribe her to give him sex so that he could clear her rent. You know what I mean? Which shows that really that's in her mind to want to do that anyway. Right? That's really in her mind that if she could have did that, then she would have did that. Because she might have tried to do it before in the past, man. Or she might have realized that, nah, he don't want me like that. So let me try and stage it like that anyway, whatever the reason was, man. But all of these things that take place is because ultimately adultery, which is one of those laws, man. Like when you look at the 10 Commandments, man, if just these things was followed on the earth would be completely different than it is now. Right? Completely different. People are able to get away with bearing false witness in this world. They're able to get away with all kind of stuff, man. People are able to get away with dishonoring Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, mocking him, mocking his son. Right? People are able to do a whole bunch of things in this world. And adultery is up there with some of the sins, man. It's up there. It's highly up there. And it sounds somewhat hypocritical for us to talk about this particular law some of the time, because ultimately we're all adulterers, man. But there's a difference between you're an adulterer where you've got with a woman that used to be with another man, versus you know that a man's with this woman and you wait for him to go to work and go into his house and sleep with his wife. Then you get her pregnant, right? And then you make her raise up the child, right? But then when he's not there, you go and play catch with the son and wait till the child's 18, and then you're like, man, that's really my son. There's a big difference, man. And in this world, adultery not being judged according to the law is mainly allowing a lot of women to get away with a lot of wickedness, more so than even men, man. Now, people might say, oh, nah, that's not true, but that's what I think, man. That's what I think, based on what I've seen on this earth, man, and how wicked it is, and how the pride levels of women have gone through the roof, right? And how these women don't even come close to meeting the standard of what a righteous woman is. But then they are talking a lot about how men are doing things, but they don't even come close to the standard. There's more men that come close to the standard of male righteousness than women that come close to the standard of female righteousness, man. Because in this world right now, most men do not know a woman that's only slept with one man her whole life and still with that guy. Most men do not know a woman that like that, especially if you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't believe that you know anyone like that that's in the same age group as you. I don't think that exists right now. That there's a woman out there in her 20s, 30s, or 40s that's only been with one man her whole life and she's still with that man. And she's not getting on his damn nerves. She's not being conniving and backstabbing to him, right? That don't exist, in my opinion. And if it does exist, that woman ain't nowhere to be seen because she's doing what she's supposed to do. But as far as I can see, that don't exist, man. But there's more men that have got their mind closer towards Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai than you could find women that are close to that standard. Way more. Isaiah chapter 32 and verse 9. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall not fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. Right? The time's gonna come, man. And people don't ever believe this. No one ever believes that their time's coming, man. People hardly ever believe that. They hardly ever believe that, man, something could happen to me. Man, the world my day might go bad. They don't ever believe that. And the main people that don't believe that could happen is women. They're the main ones. They're the main ones that put out that thought process that men so-called cheat. But what most of the time they call cheating is not actually, right? What women actually in this world call cheating is not actually, but then what they do, which is real adultery, right? They say, oh, it's because he did something. Oh, well, if he wouldn't have did what he did, then I wouldn't have did what I did. They always think that there's something so much more righteous about their wickedness than a man's not wickedness because he hasn't actually sinned according to the Lord, right? And this goes for all these women out there in this world. Majority of them, man, are moms, are nans. You know what I mean? All of them that they think that a man's committing adultery when he sleeps with another woman that's not betrothed and that's no other man's wife. They all think that that's adultery, but they don't think it's adultery when they're flirting with God, when flirting with postmen, flirting with police officers, flirting with bricklayers, flirting with their so-called work husband, flirting with their boss at work, flirting with the people in the damn cashier at the supermarket, flirting with strangers that they pass on the street, flirting with men that have got nice cars when they're going past them and giving them the eyes like, oh man, if you want it, you can have it. They don't think none of that's adultery. Flirting with men when they go to nightclubs, when they go for work drinks, they don't think none of that's adultery. So then you've got all these women that are arrogant, and you can see the evidence of the arrogance by just watching any of these so-called podcasts out there, man. And you will see all the things that I'm talking about on there. And this is caused by the law of adultery not being enacted, because the men that bring these women on the podcast, a lot of them are sleeping with these women after the podcast turns off. You already know that's happening, right? And that's adultery. And then that's allowing these women to then get gassed up and start thinking that they're something special and that every man wants them and that they can just flow from one scenario to another scenario to another scenario to another scenario, to where you get a world where men are not respected by women because every single man's easy to get for them in their eyes. They're thinking that they're getting the men, not that the man's getting them. They're thinking they're getting the men in this scenario, right? So no men gets respect in this world, because women think, man, you're all too easy for me to get you, not realizing that it's actually the men that they're sleeping with that's getting them, right? And then no man trusts women no more and views every single woman like a harlot, to where women then think, well, you know what then? The women that start coming up, the younger females, they end up start thinking, you know what? I may as well just become a harlot, because that seems to be what gets respect in this world. That seems to be the kind of women that get attention from men. And then you have a world full of whoredom, man. A world that's corrupt, where men don't trust other men because they're thinking men are going to try and sleep with their wives, and men thinking that another man is going to try and sleep with his wife causes for a whole bunch of stuff that people don't even really like to talk about. Like, let's say a man would have went into business in a particular scenario with another man, but he thinks that that man might be an adulterer. He ain't going to go into business with that guy. But if it was understood and accepted that don't even bring other men around your wife for starters, if you're thinking about doing business with them, don't even let that scenario take place. You don't need to see another man's wife, and he don't need to see your wife, right? And don't sleep with another man's wife. Then the women would know, don't even try and set up no scenario about trying to sneak around with this geezer or that geezer because you think this guy's got some more money than this guy, or this guy's got more this than this guy, because that man's going to bait you out to the community and you're going to get judged according to the law. You're with this man, and that's who you're with. Don't try and make me sin against Yahweh by committing adultery, right? That's how it's going to go in the kingdom of heaven. For all of us Israelites, we ain't going to think none of that kind of stuff. The women ain't going to think it, neither are the men going to think it. But among the heathen nations that we're going to be ruling over and making sure that the world's not wicked, man, we're going to make it be like that. We ain't going to be accepting no adultery. The heathen men are going to be able to have multiple wives as long as they are not sleeping with another man's wife. And that's what's so funny, because all these people are trying to stop us from ruling the earth, but we're going to allow them to have a better life than what they allowed us to have down here. Ain't that mad? But then they're not going to get that life under the kingdom rule before they start getting their ass whooped for all the wickedness that they've did unto us, man. So I got to speak the truth on that as well. We gotta speak the truth on that too, man. Let's get this. Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my power commanded me, that you should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. Right? So if the laws of Yahweh are wise and understanding, and the heathen nations are gonna respect the Israelites for keeping these things, then that means that everyone's supposed to already know now, really. They're supposed to already accept now that, man, adultery is wrong and it's wicked, man. And that's a thing that a man really is prepared to shake the whole earth if that takes place to him. And it's not funny when it takes place. Neither if any of us have ever did that in our lifetime, right? It's not funny that we did that thing. It's not a funny scenario, but in this world, it gets seen as funny, man. And if there's a brother out there that's did that, they probably feel cut to their heart every time they think about that, man. Because they know that that's a sin unto death now. But in this world, that's considered funny, right? But it's also the cause of why women in this world are so proud, which is something that every single man is annoyed about. Every single man on the earth right now is talking about how women's arrogance is going through the roof and it's annoying them. But part of the reason why women are so arrogant is because the law of adultery is not inflicted on this earth. So then you get women that have slept with 500 men. And then they've got the nerve to have an arrogant view of men now because of that. But they should have the arrogant view and the disgusting view of themselves. Because they're the ones that did more adultery than even knows men. They've committed that adultery 500 times. But they've made each of those men commit adultery one time with them. But Dave did it 500 times. And that's why when the laws of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua are enacted out on this earth, man, and that's why it's called a let me get the scripture, man. Because there's many other laws as well that we don't even properly know exactly how, just by keeping these things, the world's going to completely change. Like mixed fabrics, for one thing. We've heard certain things about how it deals with frequencies of the body, but we don't really know how we're going to feel even when we ain't wearing no more mixed fabrics, man, and when we've got control properly over our own clothes, you know, which right now we don't. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 25, but that which ye have already hold fast till I come, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And part of that power is going to be making sure that they don't live wickedly, man. They ain't going to be allowed to get away with adultery. That's not going to be allowed in the kingdom of heaven, which is gonna bother a lot of these people, because that's what they're into, man. They like that. If they had, most of these people, if they had the option to sleep with a woman that's 5'5" brunette, and a woman, and she's single, and another woman that's 5'5" brunette, or whatever you want to say, looks exactly the same as the other woman, right? They're gonna choose the one that's married versus the one that's single. They'd rather go with the one that's not got a man than the one that has. Excuse me, they'd rather go with the one that's got a man than the one that hasn't, man. They'd rather that. Right, this world really needs to be judged, man, because the adultery thing is just one scenario, but there's many other things that takes place in this world that's wicked, man. There's many other things, but the adultery one has caused a reaction, a chain reaction that's caused a lot of other things to take place in this world, which part of it is female arrogance increase, man. And people might say, oh no, that's not true. No, it is true. It is true, man. And it's also that the adultery thing's also led into lack of trust between brothers, man. And I don't mean brothers as in your actual sibling. I'm on about lack of trust between men. Because they know that most men are grimy out here, and that they'll sleep with another man's wife, so then nobody trusts nobody, man. Nobody trusts nobody no more. And then women, with how stupid and confused they are, two women, right? A woman might see a man that's married and she likes him, but she'll try and now sleep with this guy that's married and get him to leave his wife rather than both of them women be with him, because this world's just lost. When the man that's married with the one wife would be much more happier if he had the two wives. But this world will look down on that and say he's wicked for doing that. But then it happens anyway. It just happens hidden behind the scenes, you know. And then the man gets ran out in the courts and have all of his money stolen, man. Which is why this world's lost. But then ultimately, we ain't supposed to be in no happiness in this world anyway, because this is a punishment for the Israelite man. And I'm not even saying that most men even want to have multiple wives right down here, because women are getting on men's nerves, to be honest with you. Right? A lot of men, it's seeming like more would rather just be by themselves, to be honest with you, and have no woman even be around them, and have unlimited resources to just be around by themselves, man, and live somewhere in the woods or something, man. That's what it sounds like more so now than anything else. But yet, that is a law. That's a man fighting it. When a man starts thinking like that, that's really him fighting against his natural way of being, because his natural way of being is to be fruitful and multiply. But because the world's become so corrupted, men's own nature is being turned against him, is being used against himself, man. And that's why ultimately Esau's going to get judged for all of this, because he's the one that's cause for these things to take place on the earth, man. He's changed all the rules of how things are supposed to go and made his own bugged out philosophies. Job chapter 9 and verse 24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? If this person ruling the earth right now ain't the wicked, then who's worse than him? Who's worse, man? Show us who's worse. They complain about everyone. They complain about people coming over to their country, but they don't want to go into the root of why these people even think that their country is better to go to than their own homeland now. It's because you destroyed everyone's countries. You destroyed everyone's homeland. But now you complain that people are coming over to your country. But what does the Bible say? Doesn't it say that you heap up unto yourself all people? Isn't that what it says about Esau? That he heaps unto himself all people, man. Don't it say that? Let me get it, man. Don't it say that? Habakkuk, I believe. I thought it was Micah, but don't it say that in Habakkuk? That he heaps unto himself all people. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as deaf, and cannot be satisfied, but garreth unto himself all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Didn't Elon Musk recently try and give the internet to people living in some Amazonian tribe? That's heaping unto himself all people and transgressing by wine, because he thought that they need internet so bad, but it didn't help them. It didn't help them, man. But then Esau, if those people now start coming over to America and getting jobs over in America because they want some more Starlink internet and they want to see what other technologies Esau's got, these people would start complaining. Oh, these Amazonian tribe immigrants, man, they're coming over and they're stealing jobs. You came over to them first. How the hell did you even find them to want to be giving them internet? They live in the middle of the jungle, don't they? But you're going over there and finding them there, man. That's heaping unto themselves all people. But these hypocrites want to complain about everyone, man. And that's why all the things that I've mentioned in this video, the adultery, right, the lack of trust between men and all that, these things are ultimately been pushed forward more by Esau. When Esau saw all of these things taking place, he's never tried to stop these things taking place. He's always helped them and been a catalyst to make them even worse. When Esau saw adultery taking place, he's helped and made it worse, man. I'm going to end the lesson there. Shalom.